Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Raw review for the 20th of September 2021. This just to me speaks to the fact that WWE is a dying brand as a company, and honestly, they are falling apart. So anyway, um, New Day kick off the show. Biggie does his introduction, and then Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are out with Biggie, and then introduces himself as the champion. Gets a nice reaction from the crowd because they want something new. They chant, "You deserve it," and Biggie thanks everyone, and they do a New Day rocks things, and then fans are behind him for that. Um, and he's thankful for everyone, especially um, people chanting Brody Lee, and people are happy for that. And Biggie said they have to cut the celebration short because he's got business tonight. The Usos and Roman Reigns, whose name does get a reaction. He said he's at Raw because this is their show, and they send the bloodline packing because New Day rocks. Reigns and the Usos enters. Reigns holds the belt up high, and Biggie responds by doing the same thing. Crowds into that, and the match is up next. Six-man Reigns and the Usos defeated Biggie, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods 13:02. A throw together match doesn't need to be this long. New Day is in control early. Reigns takes Kingston out of the ring and sends him off the announce table. Drives him into the post and sends him over the table. And then they face off with Biggie, but Woods could have tried to save Kingston, but doesn't. Just spotty in terms of timing and spacing. And then they return from the break. Kingston fights back up from underneath, knocks down Jey Uso with a drop kick. Biggie and Reigns tag in, and the crowd is to their feet. There are some blows, and then Biggie hands down a series of suplexes. Crowd cheers, and there's a distraction. Jey allows Reigns to hit Uranagi for a 2 count. Reigns then goes to Superman Punch. Biggie catches him and hits a suplex and a running splash. Jey Uso tries to get involved. Kingston wipes out both Usos with a dive, allows Reigns to knock down Biggie with Superman Punch. Woods and Reigns hit the exchange, and then that leads to Woods hitting a super kick for near fall. Lashley then comes out and spears Biggie outside the ring before posting Kingston, and then the referee watches, and he also lays out the Uso. Woods is distracted. Reigns hits a pinfall win there. I guess Lashley and Reigns is where we're going somewhere in the future. Lashley spears Reigns after the match before spearing Biggie through the barricade. Anyway, after the break, Lashley complains to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville about Biggie cashing in last week and says that he was hurt. Lashley claims he could beat Biggie or Reigns any day of the week, and he's still in the midst of the almighty era, and that wasn't about to end. Randy Orton and AJ Styles is announced for tonight. They also mention MVP breaking a ribs thanks to Orton RKO last week. Riddle approaches, and Orton in the locker room. Riddle goes on about something until Orton asked him if he's confusing a movie with real life. Orton tells Riddle to keep an eye on Omos while he breaks a few of Styles' ribs. Rib breaking seems to be a big thing these days, apparently. Orton thanks Riddle for getting him new headphones. Riddle has a matching pair and puts them on and sings Orton themes music, and Orton doesn't obviously react too terribly well to that. Then we go to the beginning of the second hour Um, Marie grabs the mic. She's not into shaming or negativity, and I've got to grab my phone, so we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And I mean, this is almost the same match they had the previous week, which was about as useful as, well, breasts on a brass bowl, and just a completely, utterly useless waste of time and energy, but that's what most of Raw is these days, isn't it? Anyway, so, and then Dewdrop is a mess. The crowd chants for her. Dewdrop is unbothered by Marie's comments. Marie tries to avoid her, and then Dewdrop gives her a senton, hits a crossbody for the pinfall win. This goes less than 2 minutes, less than a minute and a half, actually. Biggie marches into the office of DeVille and Pierce, demands a match with Lashley and Reigns, and the announcers call it NC State throughout. Don't mention the name of the town per se. We go into the second hour, and I want an hour of my life back. Paul Heyman approaches DeVille and Pierce to complain about Big E. Heyman and Pierce begin arguing until DeVille announces Heyman that there'd be a triple threat match between Reigns, Big E, and Lashley tonight. Crowd cheers. Heyman seems okay with this. Randy Orton with the Riddle defeats AJ Styles with almost 14 minutes, 57 seconds. Longer match than one would expect. Orton's control until he's stripped by almost from the outside. Orton complains to the referee. Referee does nothing. The referee finally does toss almost out, but almost lays out Riddle before leaving. Styles then sends Orton to the outside almost. Then is just standing there. Styles hits Orton with a slingshot forearm. And then they go to the break. Orton tries to fight back, but Styles goes with chop block and targets the leg from there for several minutes. Orton avoids the charge, and Styles goes face first into the middle buckle. They trade strikes until Orton hits a power slam for a near fall. And then there's a sleeper in the middle here. Orton hits an exploder suplex for a near fall. Styles comes back with a bunch of strikes and a Pele kick for a near fall of his own. Orton blocks Styles' clash, but Styles hits a low forearm. And Styles then follows with a lion salt for near fall. Styles sets up phenomenal forearm, but distracted by Riddle. Styles then sets it up again and stops when Orton sets up for a midair RKO. And then this is kind of interesting there. Orton catches Styles with a draping DDT and an RKO for a probably best match of the night. Shayna Basler defeats Nia Jax by DQ, or barely beats her in 2 minutes 21 seconds. Match begins with them fighting over who's better. Jax is in control. Series of kicks by Basler. Basler tries to clutch but can't quite get it locked in. Manages to lock it in. Jax then counters, falling back on top of her. Basler held on to submission. Jax passes out. Basler wins. Post-match, Basler continues and attacking Jax. Basler then squeezes her hand in a grip of steel, steps and stomps on it, and then holds her arm against the steps before stomping on it again. Basler seems to be doubting her actions. Anyway, before the upcoming match, Byron and Saxton acknowledge Angel Garza and Korea usually are at odds. Two men does a pre-match promo. Basically, they'd be better off together, apparently. So Angel Garza and Korea defeat Mustafa Ali and Mansoor. 247. This is utter trash that doesn't need to be here. Garza launches Ali into the ring post. Carrillo applies a submission. Garza drop kicks him in the head. Carrillo covers Ali for the pinfall win. And why is this even here? Karrion Kross video package. Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley enters. They speak about Connor's cure. Dedicated the match. Anyone affected with pediatric cancer and anyone who has supported Connor's cure. Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley defeats Natalya and Tamina to win the tag team championships. 2:32. Tamina and Natalya use heart attack 25 seconds in the match. Ripley breaks it up. Jimmy Smith mentioned Ripley is only allowed one save, and she just used it early in the match. I didn't even know they were still doing that. That goes back about 40 years ago, and most people don't even know that was a thing at one time. Tamina hits a Samoan drop, but instead of going for the cover, she goes for diving splash. And Nikki gets her knees up, kinda, sorta. Nikki goes for the tag. Ripley'd been knocked out. Natalya drops Nikki, while Tamina tries to go for Ripley. Ripley gives Tamina riptide on the apron. Nikki rolls her up. Natalya gets the pinfall win, and Ripley and Nikki are the new tag champs, and absolutely no one cares. They move on very quickly and go into the third hour, and I want more of my time back. Alexa's Playground, ring set up with the swing set, Playhorse, and Slide. Alexa introduces Charlotte Flair. Charlotte makes fun of Bliss for barely being a competitor. Bliss calls Charlotte the fun police. Bliss said she didn't have any tricks up her sleeve and notes that her sleeves are short. Bliss notes that Charlotte didn't bring the Charlie doll, but not to worry, she's got a new one. Crowd chanted for the doll. Charlotte said she didn't want the doll, and the crowd booed. Charlotte wanted the old Bliss 5 Feet of Fury, former champion. Charlotte called out this as an attempt to speak to how fragile she really is. Charlotte mentioned that if they hadn't crossed paths a lot because they've been on different brands, she wondered how she was. Went from main eventing WrestleMania 35 to dealing with dolls. She went from being a nightmare to feuding with a child. Charlotte wondered if she should beat up Bliss now or wait till Sunday. Bliss then mocks Charlotte for bragging about it's true that Charlotte had won more titles than any woman, but that meant she lost more than anyone. Bliss didn't need to play games to expose Charlotte. Without the title on her shoulder, she didn't really know who Charlotte was. Crowd yells woo and Charlotte poses, but Bliss said the chant didn't originally belong to Charlotte, and then Bliss said she isn't the one who should be talking about originality. Calls Charlotte a couple of bad words, and then Charlotte wouldn't be able to call her champion on Sunday, and then they got into a brawl. Charlotte getting the better of the brawl, rips the head off the doll, and goes after Lily. Bliss then saves Lily by knocking down Charlotte with a tornado DDT. 24/7 segment in the back. Drake Maverick delivers a pin to the Truth. Drew Gulak and Akira Tozawa drop a net on Reginald, but failed. Gulak winds up in the net. Damian Priest joins commentary for the upcoming match that no one cares about, which happens to be Jeff Hardy defeating Sheamus. Hardy hits Twist of Fate. Sheamus gets the knees up, which it was not fun for Hardy. And then that looks like the end. Hardy manages to roll up Sheamus for the pinfall. Sheamus gets a nosebleed some point during the match. Hardy's been added to Priest and Sheamus for the U.S. title on Sunday, and absolutely no one cares about what used to be a really useful championship. Sheamus confronts Priest after the match and blamed him for the result. They get into a brawl, and the officials yank things out of there. Then we go to, they plugged Reigns' match against Finn Balor Extreme Rules, but there's no mention of Lesnar or the Crown Jewel thing they're doing. Then they plugged the triple threat match, Biggie, Lashley, and Reigns, by saying it's a match we'll never see again. Then we go to non-title triple threat match, Roman Reigns defeating Biggie and Bobby Lashley, 20 minutes and 7 seconds. Biggie comes out last, goes right after Lashley. Biggie gets hit with a drive-by drop kick, leading to a break less than a minute into the match. Biggie goes after Lashley after the break, despite that, and then Reigns knocks him down with a clothesline for a near fall. Reigns tries drive-by on Lashley. Lashley clotheslines him, sends him off the apron. Lashley tries to tackle both men in the corner. Reigns then clotheslines Lashley in the corner before sending him onto the top turnbuckle. Reigns sets him up for superplex. Biggie gets out from under and goes for the big Tower of Doom powerbomb. That leads to a break. Reigns is in control of Biggie, and Biggie comes back and hits a bunch of suplexes on Reigns. Lashley yanks him out of the ring and drives him into the barricade. Lashley gives Reigns a flatliner and a vertical suplex for a near fall. Biggie comes back into the ring, knocks down both men before hitting them both with a splash, covers Lashley for a near fall. Biggie then goes for the running spear through the ropes, but Reigns then gets his knees up. Lashley then gives Biggie a spine buster before Reigns breaks up the cover and tries to cover himself for a 2 count. Biggie ducks Superman punch, gives Reigns a big ending, but yanked Biggie out of the ring. Lashley then gives Biggie chokeslam right through the announcer's table. Lashley tries to spear Reigns. Reigns gets Superman punch for near fall. Crowd chants, "This is awesome," when it really wasn't. Reigns then tries to spear Lashley through, but Lashley spears him first, and Biggie breaks the cover up. Lashley tries to put Biggie in the hurt lock, but Reigns hits a Superman punch, and then Biggie follows up, sending Reigns out of the ring. Biggie gives Reigns a big ending. Lashley hits Biggie with a chair. There's no disqualifications in the match. Lashley hits Biggie with the chair a bunch of times until he's speared by Reigns. With the pinfall win, Reigns pins Lashley. Not a bad match. Obviously, Reigns is the guy in WWE right now. I think it's overkill, but it is what it is. We'll be back with more right after this.